Hi, you're watching Plan V Works. Welcome back, this is Vanessa. I will be doing a series of cards for the next couple of weeks, and it'll be all about spring. And we are going to start with this one. It's a slimline spring birthday card. Now we're going to be using this card base that's measured 4 by 9. And what I like about using a slimline size is that it helps you become more creative with your existing materials like stamps and die cuts. There are specific stamps and die cuts that correspond to a slimline size, such as this one from Pink Fresh Studios called You Are Amazing. Now, this is the only slimline stamp set that I have, but Pink Fresh Studios has produced a lot of these beautiful coordinating bundles. You can work with hot foil, stamp, die cut, and stencils, and whether you use them separately or together produces the best results. It is amazing. Now my set here comes with a coordinating stencil, as you can see here, and by using brushes you can use different inks or embossing powder and color these little images separately. That way you don't bleed out to the other portions of the image, and you can maintain the kind of color you want to use for different elements of the image. You can do leaves and flowers and the colors will be amazing. Now stencils have a number on the corner here, and that is the sequence of how you will use them accordingly to create the image that you would want. And I followed that same sequence for this stencil set, but I find that in the end it did not really matter because the little elements in this stamp set did not really overlap. So my stencils could be used interchangeably and it wouldn't matter. Now I'm laying down my card panel that's 3 by 8 inches and it fits nicely on my Misty here. And I did an amateur mistake here by cutting it to size right away instead of cutting it a little bit bigger so I can use my magnets so it doesn't move. However, what I did instead was to put a double-sided tape right on the back so it sticks on the surface and it wouldn't move. After applying my anti-static powder, I am using my Hero Arts embossing ink here. And while my image doesn't really have little details in it, you will want to make sure that this is inked very well because it is a lot of flourishes. And that means that if you miss one bit, then it will go blank completely and it will be noticeable. All right, I'm just applying equal pressure all over the image. And if you're wondering what this little tool is, it's just an empty Play-Doh container with some chair felt pads underneath it. It's the same thing you use to protect your floors that you use under your table legs or chair legs. And it works for me. So that's what I use to make sure I apply enough pressure all over the image to make a great impression. Now I've also decided to use embossing powder for this particular card. I felt that a stamp would create a good impression, but not as good as an embossing powder would. Because the background will be very light, I wanted the colors to pop. And of course, it adds a little bit more shine, and I always like that with my cards. Now applying a very thin layer of embossing powder over our image here, and I find that sometimes if you put a lot of embossing powder, it builds up and creates like clumps on edges of your image, and you really don't want that. Now my camera froze at the end of it, so you will not see the finished embossed image, but you will see a little bit of it here and there later on. Now you can see here that I have the first stencil on top of the image, and you can see that it shines nicely through the little gaps here, and I love how it's looking already. But the point is, when you use these stencils, it isolates a specific area of that image, and you can color it however you like, and you can color all of these separate areas nicely and go crazy with your colors. For this project, I've decided to use my Gina K Premium Dye Inks. And if you're wondering about these swatches, these are from Jennifer Maguire's blog. You can find her free template there. What a blessing. Thank you very much, Jennifer Maguire. This is such a great thing to share. Now I'm using here Dusty Rose, Wild Dandelion, and Turquoise Sea from Gina K once again. And I love how these colors will unravel little by little as we go on with our stenciling. Now I am putting more pressure as I go through the bottom of the stem and just going lightly through the leaves. That way I create a little bit of highlight, a little bit of dimension once the colors are finished. Now, the nice thing about these stencils, like I said, is you can isolate these beautiful little images and you can use other colors for other things. And look how lovely that's already coming out. Now using my Dusty Rose here, and I know these are not exactly flowers, but it's spring. Anything bright and beautifully colored is welcome. So I'm using my Dusty Rose here for pinks, my Wild Dandelion for more of the leaves, and either way it's coming out so beautifully. Again, adding a little bit more pressure on the bottom of the stems here to create a little bit of shadow and highlights on the lighter bits. And look at that. How beautiful is that? And I love how, once again, Pink Fresh Studios has created these coordinating products that help us crafters to create these beautiful images. I know a lot of other brands have done this as well, coordinating products to bundle up, and that way you can have the best results, whether it's coloring or die cutting. It's just simply amazing to try. Now I just decided to add that back panel to cover the front of my card base just to make the images on the white cardstock really pop, and I think that really did a trick. Now I'm going to add my sentiments. I'm also using the Pink Fresh Studios stamp and die set. It's also called Perfect Sentiments, and like I said, they have made coordinated products with this, and it also comes in a hot foil variety, and you can create these sentiments using hot foil and it creates the best results. Now you can see here that this is a block of rubber stamps. So what happens is I only want to use the happy birthday bit. So there will be a little bit of excess embossing ink around the edges, but it's not going to be a problem. I'm just going to use my brush and then just brush it off, tap the excess powder, and then the best part is that it comes with coordinating die set that cuts a little bit of shadow around the happy birthday word. So even if you don't get to brush all of these little bits perfectly, you can get rid of all the excesses just by cutting it out. And this is also why I like using my anti-static powder tool, because it cuts the work in half. It prevents a lot of these excess embossing powder to stick right away, so you do have less messes to clean up. Most crafters that I've seen would use these kinds of tweezers to hold up their images whenever they're using their heat gun tool just to protect their fingers. However, I find that what works best for me is just lay it down on my glass mat, and it prevents the edges to curl, and that has worked so well for me. So whichever works for you, just remember to protect your fingers at all times, especially when using these heat gun tools. Now you can see that I've already run through my sentiment in my die cutting machine, and it's created this little shadow effect on the edges. I also stuck that with a piece of gold cardstock, and it's looking really, really nice. Now, a lot of people would just stop here, and that is okay because your card is already going to look super, super nice. However, being me, I wanted to add just a little bit more to my card. I feel that adding just a little bit more sometimes makes it just extra special. Now, again, you don't have to do the rest of these steps, but you can tell the difference when we show the final um, project later on. Now, these sequins are very inexpensive. I got them from the Dollar Tree, and it comes like it, in a variety of colors. So one set will have all shades of blue or all shades of pink, of gold and silver. Especially last Christmas, they have a lot of these embellishments available. So always be on the lookout on your Dollar General, Dollar Tree, or thrift stores because you will always find products like these that you can use for all of your projects, whether you're making cards or bags or little purses. It just works so nicely. And you can see here that I've used 3 different colors of sequin to complement my images that I've already stamped here. I'm using some teal, some gold ones, and some pink. And from afar, you could almost see that it actually looks like little flowers or little gems, and that extra shine just makes all the difference sometimes. So make sure that you check your local stores for all those great deals and, just make the tools and embellishments work for you. But there is, once again, a thin line when, going overboard when it comes to these things. So just make sure you use your good judgment whenever you're doing extra embellishments. And here is our card. Isn't it lovely? I love how it turned out. And I hope that you guys give this a try. Start creating your spring cards, and I'm sure you're going to have lots of fun, experimenting with different colors, different sizes. Just make sure that however you do it, you just, have lots of fun with it because that's what this is all about. Now, I hope that you guys got inspired, so please subscribe right here at Plan B Works for more affordable crafting, resourceful hacks, and easy techniques. We'll see you guys in the next video.